Welcome to Back to the Frame Rate, part of the Weston Media Podcast Network, a weekly podcast discussing movie news, reviews, and recommendations. We just heard a clip from John Wick Chapter 4, definitely one of the more highly appreciated films from the first half of the year. On the show this week, we'll be catching up with our weekly watching, followed by our mid-year top 5 list. And we'll have to wait and find out if John Wick makes any of our lists this year. And I am one of your hosts, Nathan Shore, and with me are Ellie Escobar and Sam Cole.
Hello.
Hola.
Hola.
Hola, hola.
Hello, Ellie.
Hola.
So this is a milestone moment. We are here not only seeing each other, but we are now revealing our true forms to the world.
Is it though?
I don't know. Is anything real? We all could just be AI representations of some other people. Who knows? Maybe we're just avatars.
We could be in different dimensions, all of us.
Maybe.
Sam could be eating chicken nuggets in his fifth dimension.
That's
For all I
a
know.
strong possibility, yes.
Well, if you are listening to the show, you are probably very confused what we're talking about, but we are not just streaming our show, the audio version of our show, but we are recording this video version of this, which will be made available most likely on YouTube, but potentially on other video on demand locations. More on that to come later. We're not too sure exactly where this will end up, but keep your eyes percolated for where this will end up. But we're very excited to be expanding the way that Back to the Frame Rate appears in the world. So very exciting next step for our podcast.
Did you say eyes percolated?
Eyes percolated, yes.
Coffee percolator?
Yeah, I'm all about coffee, Ellie. This isn't always water.
Oh.
So, yeah. I am drinking water tonight because I'm very well caffeinated already.
Fubar is on Netflix, by the way.
Still have not watched it.
Neither have I, but it looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Is that the Schwarzenegger
It is.
movie?
How did you say his name?
I say Schwarzenegger. I'm saying it wrong, aren't I? I am. Oh my god. Okay.
Made me hungry.
Is it Schwarzenegger then?
My name is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Ellie, you should give Fubar a chance. Come on, do it. Do it now. Stop screwing around and watch my show. It's as good as the other shows. It's as good as Community and Free Leasing and PetSmart or whatever the other nonsense is that you watch. Fubar's better. Netflix, come on.
I said it in Spanish, Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger.
How do you? Okay, you say it.
No comprendo.
You say it, Nathan.
Schwarzenegger. Now I'm saying it wrong too.
Schwarzenegger, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It sounds funny now.
Sure.
Now that you've said it, it just makes no sense anymore.
That's right, Mr. Schwarzenegger. If you're listening, let's do something together.
All right.
That was a strong pitch right there. That was like, let's do something.
Do something. It could be share a taco, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's something.
Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
I'll introduce you to pupusas.
I would like to talk about what each of us have been doing the last week. Ellie, would you like to begin?
Oh, you're gonna put me under the bus.
I'm putting you in the spot. Yes.
Thank you. Well, nothing much really. Just worked, watched movies, did my acting homework, and I finished my writing class, and I have a 5-page, what do you call it, script scene?
This was your 6-day writing class, right?
Yeah, it's a 6-day writing
Yeah.
class with Saturday ended up with a master class. And I learned. So I've done a script before, like for a different class project. I remember I came up with something called the Night Creeper.
I remember.
That
Yeah.
was like a short film,
That's a good title.
and it made like 7th place out of like other bunch of other films, which I wasn't even expecting it, but like seventh, I guess it's good.
7 out of how many, Ellie?
I don't know, 60 something
That
maybe.
is
That's
great.
very
Is
good.
it?
Night
Oh
Yeah.
my
Night Creeper
goodness.
2. Night Creeper 2.
I
Well,
hear a franchise.
no, no, no. Well,
I
so
want to see more
listen.
night, more creepers, and more darkness.
Can I just tell you something about writing? So the way this class made us write was just free writing. Just sit down. Don't worry about, the mistakes or the, fixing anything you edit afterwards. So for
Hmm.
30 minutes every day, maybe even more, I will just sit and write and write and write. And then the last day were supposed to put it into a script format. So I used Celtic,
Yeah,
and so.
Celtics. Yeah.
But what I didn't realize, what I was telling Carlos, is that as I just kept writing whatever came out of me, I came up with a story about an AI, and I don't know where that came from and why it was in my head. And the thing is, I didn't know. After when I was done, I went to go do some research to see if I wasn't writing things off the wall, and I actually wasn't. And a lot of the things that I my dialogue has is it's true. It's true. Like that's exactly what an AI is, and I never knew. But subconsciously, I was writing. I don't know. uh, The story is really nice. I love it. I mean, I really like this script more than the one I wrote before this, which is Night Creeper. So I titled it AI Penelope.
As a studio
I
executive, I still want Night Creeper 2. That we got to fast track that in production. It's bigger and there's more nighttime explosions.
well,
I
Night Creeper came out of Root Two. Root 2 is a longer script. It's like 8 pages. And that was for another writing class that I had. And Root 2 is about uh, it's kind of like half fiction, half reality that happened to me. So,
Oh wow,
and
interesting.
so Night Creeper, I came because I needed something fast. I took some of the writing from
Right,
Root 2 and, and I added another character to it.
kind of like merge the two stories a little bit. Like yeah, I hear
Yeah,
that.
it's a
Yeah,
little different. But so maybe I don't know. We'll see. But I am loving I Penelope. That's what I
I,
called it.
good
I just
title.
want
Yeah.
to say I think it's great that you took this class and that it sounds like the one of the things that this writing instructor was trying to come across was don't worry about making something great right away. Get it out. Doesn't have to be perfect,
Yeah.
and worry about editing later. So I feel like one of the things that myself and a lot of aspiring writers worry about is making something great and perfect immediately.
Mhm.
And what I've learned is to just get it out of you. They call it the vomit draft, right? Get it out there, and then you can always go back and fix it later. And I was always paralyzed to start writing something because I felt like it had to be great immediately, and I would be stuck in scene 1 and 2 like for weeks and months, and then I would give up on it because it's just this isn't good. And I
Ah.
started writing more seriously about 2 years ago and it helped me realizing that I don't have to write the greatest thing in the world right away. And I now have 4 or 5 scripts that I've written in the last year because I just got it out of me. And they're not great, but I've gone back and fixed them up over time. And I am now on the cusp of producing my second one of those in the last year. So
Yeah.
it's just a great thing to be able to know that you don't have to create the best thing in the world immediately. And I think a lot of writers or aspiring writers put way too much pressure on themselves to make something amazing immediately.
And the great
Yeah.
thing
No,
too
I
about like a
really.
vomit draft is that it like
Mm.
even if a vomit draft is terrible, it gives the foundation from which you can
Hmm.
fix upon. So it's like you've got something tangible there as opposed to saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm going to write this later." You know what I mean? So the vomit draft is like critical. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
And I really enjoyed writing, and I didn't know that I have that story brewing in my head because I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just writing. Like I put the clock on, like my watch and my phone alarm, and then for 30 minutes, and I just got lost in that world, and I don't know where that came from, but when
Freeform.
it
Yeah.
was done,
Awesome.
yeah, when it was done on Saturday, um I really love this. I went back and I read it, and I'm like, oh, I really love this story. And it doesn't. If I was to make it into a film, it wouldn't take a lot of. It could just be filmed in an office, really, because
Oh,
the whole
cool.
thing, that whole scene, or that whole 5 page thing, like if I was to do a short film, it would just happen in that office. But it's
Yeah.
more about the emotion than any action. It's just about how this AI interacts with her creator, So it's
I
really
hear that.
cool.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. That's great.
Yay, thank you.
Sam, anything you want to share about what you've been doing the last week?
It has been a very quiet week, which I've been running around and moving around a lot. So I kind of came home and crashed. I watched a little bit, but I suppose the biggest event for me this week, and this shows how quiet of a week it was that I went to GameStop and purchased The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, the new Nintendo Switch Zelda game. Rave reviews, selling off the charts, all that stuff. And it's just huge open world, puzzle oriented, imaginative game. So I kind of sunk into that. Other than that, I managed to see The Fablemans again on HBO and watched Spielberg's. I think it's just a masterpiece film, but in general, a very quiet week for me. Just
Okay.
home, getting stuff done. Yeah, not an adventurous week, that's for sure. But I'm
All
so
right.
glad I've been playing the game because I've been excited about that for a while. I just didn't have time, so now is the perfect time to play it.
How many hours do you think it will take to complete that game? Is there like an average for? I'm always intimidated by these open world games. I
Probably
don't play
like
them.
15 to 20, maybe, if you just
Okay.
played straight through and just
Yeah.
played the plot. But I think it's longer than that. I'm not sure. There's so much data on the internet, but I've been avoiding it because I've just wanted to experience the game and not
Yeah.
learn anything. You know what I mean? So I could be
Right.
very wrong about that fact. It could be a lot longer or shorter. I'm not sure.
All right. Excellent. All right. Let's move on to our weekly watches.
Did you
Where
say what you were doing this week, Nathan?
sorry, I oh that's right. I skipped myself. Yeah.
I want
Well,
to know.
you want to know what I've been doing?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yes, I had a quiet week as well as far as anything exciting, but I did have a busy weekend. Um, Mostly on Sunday, this past Sunday, which was yesterday for us. I took a day excursion to New Hampshire and Vermont to do some location scouting, and I ended up not finding the locations that I wanted, but I did end up at a couple very cool places. I ended up at the Lost River Gorge in near Woodstock, New Hampshire.
Oh,
Have
cool.
either of
Huh.
you seen that? Been there before?
I think a
I don't
long
think
time ago
so.
when I was
Maybe. I'm not
younger.
sure. Yeah.
It is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. It's only about 2 hours and 40 minutes north of where I live. And there's
Gorge?
the underground waterfall. There's Paradise Falls. It is a gorge, that is carved out in, the mountains in New Hampshire. I've been to Franconia Notch many times in New
Mm.
Hampshire, but this is a whole nother level of beauty within New Hampshire. I actually recorded a lot of videos while I was there, me talking about my experiences of seeing these. There's all these caves that you can crawl through.
Wow.
One of them is like a crevice that you have to go down at a 45-degree angle, descending down about maybe 20 feet. At the base of it, you have to crawl through maybe about a 22-inch hole and come out the other side. Have either of you seen the movie The Descent, where the women like go underground?
Yeah, yeah. I
And
was just gonna say, I don't know
one of
if
my
I could do that.
one of my biggest fears is being trapped in the earth underground and getting stuck there. I actually have had nightmares about this my whole life.
Mhm.
And when I got to this part of this, there's boardwalks that go all through this gorge, but there's all these side caves that you can go through, and you can climb down and do these things, and it tells you that this is a small passage that you have to crawl through. So I'm looking down into this hole, and I'm staring this for like 10 minutes, and I realized this is one of my deepest fears. And I know I can do this because I've seen people crawl down there larger than me. I'm not a small guy, but I'm seeing other people do this, and like they're doing this, but they don't have this fear that I do. And this is, I don't have big fears of heights. I don't have a lot of other phobias, but this is one of my major ones. And there was a father who was a little bit older than me, and his daughters, who I think were teenagers, like 15 or 16, and they come through, and I asked them, I really want to descend down this crevice and go through the hole, but I can't do this alone. Would you spot me for this whole thing? And they actually were really kind. And the daughters went first, then I went, and the father went after me. And I took, and I did this, and yeah, it was really exhilarating, and I conquered this fear doing this. And so, yeah, it was a wonderful day. I woke up at 6 a.m. I left the house an hour later. I didn't get home until 11:30 at night. And it was an exhilarating day, just exploring new parts of New Hampshire and Vermont I've never been through. What I was doing, my actual goal for the day was to find a location where the actors in this movie can safely find a place where they can do a cliff jump in this movie. That is the climax of the movie. I did not find it. If there's any listeners out there that are local to maybe southern parts of Maine or New Hampshire or Vermont, and that know of a safe place where somebody can do like a 20-foot cliff jump in that area, let me know. I know this might be kind of an oxymoron because there really is nothing truly safe about jumping into a gorge. But there are some places that are safer than others, of course. So I am actively looking for something toward the end of the summer, maybe in the beginning of September, where we can film this scene. I'm not looking for a quarry. I'm looking for something, a natural formation in the mountains where this could happen. If we lived in like Washington State or Oregon, these places are everywhere. But I'm not in a position where I can fly a cast and a crew out there.
Out of curiosity, is this like a featurette?
Short. Awesome. This is a 8-9 page script.
Oh, nice, cool.
Yeah,
sounds intriguing. The setting sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It's a simple concept, simple film, but I don't want to have to change the ending, and I do have a backup plan of where I could do this, but I'm looking for something that has just a specific look. I could do it at a quarry if I had to, and there's plenty of quarries that are everywhere, but I don't really want to do that. I want the nature. But anyways, that's what I have been doing. And since Sunday, I already have a video. This kind of, I know how Sam, my video last year, I think you said kind of inspired your filmmaking and some of your Walks of Worlds.
Yes, definitely.
Videos. Sure. Your Walks of World inspired my video that I did over from yesterday. And right now it's kind of long. It's 36 minutes long of my adventures from yesterday. Nice. But I had so much fun yesterday shooting my video of my journey yesterday, and I met so many wonderful people everywhere I went. My goal was also just to like introduce myself to people, like what they're doing, and even at dinner, like I found myself at this place called the End of the Trail, like Tappin' Tacos or something like that, in White River Junction, Vermont. And I sat next to this old woman that was actually from Newton, Mass.
Oh, wow.
And we started talking about that. And she's like, young man, you're a journeyman. I'm like, wow. And that just made me feel great. Like, I don't think of myself as a journeyman, but like, sure. I'll take that,
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I love kind of like traveling by myself every once in a while. I feel like it's something I don't get to do very often, but it's very invigorating just being able to like, I'm going to go 45 miles over there and just see what I can find.
Yeah. There's a freedom and spontaneity to it. That's great. Yeah. I hear that. Yeah.
So that's what I did. My God, it was yesterday. It feels like it was like a week ago, but it was yesterday. So yeah, it was fun.
That sounds like fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. So okay, that was about my week. So let's get to our weekly watches, where each of us share what we've been watching the past week. Who would like to begin?
Sam.
So this past week, because I've been traveling a lot and I had missed a bunch of movies, so I finally caught up on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I actually saw it just last night, and I know you guys had already reviewed it in a very good previous podcast. Um, I would say in general, I liked it. The tone was so different, and the kind of downtrodden nature of it was good. It was character driven. It was just so tonally different from the other two that I'm still kind of unpacking the movie. I'm not quite sure what my thoughts are. Pretty good. I do still think that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is my favorite. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but visually, story wise, Kurt Russell's performance, like I just love that film. But I thought that this was a good, emotional, fitting conclusion for the characters. Um, and while it didn't necessarily, for me, visually peak as much as the first two entries, I thought the action sequences and the locations were less stunning than the previous two films. I did think that the emotional arcs and payoffs for the characters were pretty good, and I liked where the film left them off at the end. So that's about what I saw, and yeah, I also saw The Fablemans again, Spielberg's amazing movie from 2022. Bumped into that on HBO. Wasn't going to watch the whole thing, but got sucked into it, watched all of it. Just incredible movie. But that's what I've watched this week. Yeah, aside from playing Zelda.
Excellent.
Uh,
Ellie.
well, I started watching Barry. Have you guys seen that?
I've got to
Yeah, you're
watch that
saying
show. I haven't seen it yet, if you can believe
Oh my
that.
you're
goodness.
saying you started watching season 1 last week.
I
Yeah.
started watching. Well, I started and then I stopped because I had to write, so I couldn't really
Right.
watch Barry. But then I started watching it more this Sunday, and oh my god, okay, it's so funny. It's kind of sad but funny at the same time.
Yeah.
I also watched Carrie Farver, The Girl in the Basement, and Dungeons and Dragons, Thieves Among Us, I think it's called.
Oh, you saw
Honor
that?
Among
Movie.
Thieves. Yeah.
Yeah,
Honor
did you
Among
see it?
Thieves? Yeah, what'd you think of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved
It was good.
it.
It's good, isn't it? It was pretty good. Yeah. I
Yeah,
saw that
and
in the theater.
you
Yeah.
know, Michelle Rodriguez is one of my badass girls, so
Oh,
she's
nice.
in that
Yeah.
film. I love it. She's awesome. Yeah, I really it's I feel like at the beginning of the movie was a bit dragging for me,
Yeah.
but then it gets really good right after the cemetery part.
Yeah.
So it started really. And the other two movies, The Girl in the Basement. Um, oh my goodness, you know who's in that movie? It's the guy from oh my god, The Breakfast Club.
Oh,
Uh,
I know you're talking about. Oh
is it
man.
Fun.
Judd
Yeah.
Nelson?
Oh,
Judd
okay.
Nelson.
Yeah.
He's in that movie, and he looks so old. Anyway, but anyway, but Carrie Farber and The Girl in the Basement are from Lifetime movies, and I have never watched the Lifetime channel, and I learned that they're all about kidnappers and
Oh wow.
stuff like that. So I was like, hmm, they weren't bad. Actually, they were pretty entertaining. So, but I is it all? Is it me or all the movies in that channel are about kidnappers and
Well, it's the
killing?
Lifetime Network also has extraordinary stories of redemption. As I was saying earlier, she may have lost her entire family, but gosh dang it, she learned how to paint a house. Lifetime Network.
I thought I was Hallmark
Oh wait a minute.
Network.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
mixed up.
Hallmark
Yeah,
is where the
Lifetime.
dog saves Christmas.
Lifetime is more like kidnappers and like darker domestic abuse stuff. Like there's
Yeah,
a theme to
pretty
that. Yeah,
sick
Home,
stuff.
yeah,
Ellie, Hallmark is where the dog saves Christmas.
yeah.
Oh my god, the Hallmark
If you like the
movies at
Hallmark
Christmas.
Channel, it's almost July. Christmas in July is coming up, huh? Huh? Christmas in July. Watch the Hallmark
Dude,
Channel.
I was like, if People can write stuff like that. So can I, and I can make
Oh, you
money.
can make it millions. I mean, like there's an entire industry built around like themes around like the Hallmark Channel movies.
I
Like
just,
you,
I just want.
it's
How do you
a
get cast for
giant
these
industry.
movies? Like, how do I find these castings to do these movies? I mean, you could have my Route Two script turn into a Lifetime movie. I'm serious. Like, it could legit be a Lifetime movie. So,
Does the AI
yeah.
kidnap someone in it?
Wait, what?
Does the AI?
No,
Oh no, it's the wrong script. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
that's come on, Sam. Stop eating chicken nuggets. That's not. And so yeah, so I watched those films, and the only reason I watched the Lifetime is because it's free for 7 days
Oh wow.
in Amazon, and
So
that's it.
Yeah. I didn't know Lifetime had their own streaming network. Like I thought it was just like a cable channel. They
Well,
got their own.
I don't have cable television.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
just kind of
They have.
buy
Well,
Catholic.
it makes sense. They have their own app. Yeah.
Yeah.
so the name of the channel
Okay.
is Lifetime, but their streaming network is called Lifetime Guarantee. Oh, that's terrible, man. And with that, I'm fired. Goodbye, everyone. I'll see you
Get
later.
out of here.
Oh
No,
man.
it's okay. It's entertaining. If you want to
All
see
right.
that those kind of movies
Yeah.
every once in a while.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Am I up?
Yay.
All right. So, I watched this past week. As you know, we got the Flash coming out soon. So I think I mentioned this last week. I decided to start catching up on some of the DCU, and 2 weeks ago I watched what the hell did I watch? I watched Man of Steel again, and I thought I thought it held up well, and actually I liked it much better the second time around. But then the
Man of
next one
Steel.
up,
You mean Superman?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
but it's called Man of Steel.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
the name of
was
the movie.
checking. Okay. Man
Okay.
of Steel.
So this week I watched Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, the dumbest titled superhero movie ever. It's streaming on Max currently. I had the option to watch the theatrical cut or the Ultimate Edition, which adds 30 minutes of footage. So I went with the Ultimate Edition because I'd never seen that one. And I figured, I might as well see what did I miss the first time around. And for some reason, it's also rated R, which I don't think really warranted the rating, but apparently it did because it's apparently violent, which I didn't think it was that violent, but whatever. Well, if you thought this was an audacious and bloated film in the theater, I can't say that adding more footage helps, but it does do a decent service by, I think, adding some depth to the Henry Cavill character as where he's playing Clark Kent. And I think it helps flesh out the relationship with Lois Lane a little bit more. And there's definitely helps give you a better understanding what his main gripe is with Batman in the movie, which I think is very glossed over in the theatrical cut. This film still is not good, but the Ultimate Edition at least improves it slightly, maybe from a C minus to a C. So that's what I did watch this week. I will probably try to. I might. I don't think I'm going to watch. I did watch Zack Snyder's Justice League maybe a year and a half ago. I don't think I need to watch it again. So I feel like maybe I've done my homework for the Flash. I don't think I need to do any more DCU movies. I just wanted to watch a couple of these before the Flash.
You should watch Aquaman just because it's actually a fun movie.
I'll watch maybe Aquaman before the second one. I don't know. What do you guys recommend? Or Sam, I don't know if
I actually,
before the
it's
Flash.
funny. Like Aquaman,
I might watch Batman. I might watch Batman, the original Batman, one more time.
that's
Yes.
that's 1989 Batman.
Yeah,
I
I'm kind of
It's a
in the
great
mood
movie.
for
Yeah,
it.
I would just watch that
Yeah.
recently. It holds up
That'd be
spectacularly
good.
well. I was gonna say Aquaman commits all the like sins that I usually dislike, but for some reason I find that movie wildly entertaining. Like if you
It
get to see
is.
Aquaman again, it's like so over the top, grandiose, and silly that it's like impossible for me to not like it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But I don't know if there's anything else from DCU that is worth kind of revisiting before Flash. But probably not.
Yeah.
They say you don't need to. Like it holds up on its own. But I'm kind of glad, and Justice League is fresh in my head from a year and a half ago
Also, a lot of
of the
DCU movies are
side
kind of
effect.
like, not all of them, but some of them are kind of like sullen and dark and heavy. And one of the reasons I liked Aquaman is because it had a kind of Marvel movie like crazy
Yeah,
fun vibe, but it was like it was an anomaly. I liked it. Yeah.
yeah. So
On
I think
anomaly.
I think I've done my homework. Maybe I will do Batman, but I'm probably good. So, also over the weekend, our family we took both our kids to see the new live action reimagining of The Little Mermaid. My children, especially my youngest, very much enjoyed it. I think the performances are a real standout in this. Halle Bailey kills it as Ariel. She is extremely charming and gives a rich, nuanced performance. Um, though I thought Jonah Howard King as Prince Eric was very good too. And the chemistry between him and Halle Berry was also quite good. But as good as they were, this movie is completely soulless. I don't think this movie looked all that great. For a Disney movie involving mermaids, where half the film is underwater, this film had a very kind of dark and muted tone to it. It lacked vibrancy and kind
Well,
of just lacked any
mermaids
kind of
are evil, so
yeah. I like pizzazz also. Never once was I able to suspend belief that these characters were actually underwater, which is weird. It kind of had this incredibly fake look to me. It was only a little over 6 months ago that Avatar: Way of Water came out, and I thought that those underwater scenes compared to this were like night and
Oh
day.
god, those underwater
yeah,
scenes are just like mind
Yeah.
blowing. Even on a small screen, in a smaller
Mhm.
TV, those images still pop.
yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Disney should be able to do better this with their resources and their money. I don't understand why this movie looked the way it did because I mean I know James Cameron obviously has money too and he can do whatever he wants to do, but Disney for all their resources, I don't understand why this looked like a video game. It really did.
See,
It had
I
it had a
haven't seen the
cutscene
movie
feel to
yet.
it.
Like I haven't seen it yet, but what you're saying was my concern and fear about it. So for you to voice it, I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh man, I was worried it was going to be like that." I just had a
It,
feeling.
it
I'll
has
still
a
see it cuz I mean, I really like the classic
it's
1989
it's
like
not it's not bad,
yeah.
but those underwater scenes have like a video game cutscene feel to it. I don't know, and it's not terribly done, but it should have been better. The um the musical numbers I thought were okay. It's exactly what you'd expect.
Yeah.
But with a movie clocking in at 2 hours and 15 minutes, the truly memorable songs in this movie, like Part of Your World, Under the Sea, Kiss the Girl, only make up a really small part of this movie. And I think there are at least two or three part of your world reprises throughout this film. And I also really think about the Little Mermaid. I don't know if the music from this, even the original movie, are maybe even the best musical out there. I think of like Aladdin and at least the 90s Disney movies, Beauty and the Beast, some of these other ones probably have much more iconic songs or more music that I think we think of from these movies. I think Little Mermaid, we really only think of maybe like two songs or three that are really the standouts that have kind of like entered its way into like the zeitgeist. And I feel like there's not a ton of music in this movie that really holds it together. There are a couple new songs that are in this movie that were fine, but I didn't really think of this movie much of as a musical. It really
See what you're
but
describing, that sort of mechanical like sort of soulless feeling, and I feel like that's been
yeah,
happening several times with Disney's remakes, where it's like,
yeah,
where the Lion King, the remake was like amazing special effects, spectacular technology, but just colder and like less engaging than the
mhm,
original. I didn't see Beauty and the Beast, the new one. I haven't seen the new Little Mermaid yet, but there's something about it. It just looks like, I don't know. I'd almost rather
yeah.
see them do something completely new, but I understand the like market.
I would love to see. It won't happen, probably for a long time, but I would love to see them. What would they do with an original live action musical? I mean, like, who would go to it though? Like, what would be the 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 thing that would hook people to it? They're running out of they're running out of remakes, at this point. I don't know what the next thing is going to be.
They remake
Oh,
something.
they're doing a live action Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, really?
That's
Wow.
coming up. Yeah. I don't know.
A lot of those movies I never watched, not even in the 90s.
They should remake the Black Cauldron or something like that. That'd be
So
good.
yeah. So anyways, not that great. Not the worst either, but
I,
Did you
I
girls
was
like
curious
it?
kids
about it.
loved
I
it.
mean,
My kids enjoyed it.
All right, there you go.
Kids are doing it. It's making money, so
Hmm?
they will keep doing these. And I'm sure that what we'll end up doing is they'll end up remaking these live action movies as animated movies in 20 years.
right.
You know. Anyways, well, they have, again, of course, they also have live action versions of all of the new CGI movies. Like, why won't they do live action Frozen someday? I'm sure all of these will eventually. All this IP they have.
The DreamWorks How to Train Your Dragon. That's a live
Mm,
action 2025, which is
yeah,
crazy. I mean,
not Disney, but
yeah,
yeah,
not Disney. Yeah.
yeah. So the last thing, because I've been saying a lot of things I've been watching. The last thing, I did watch something I did love over the weekend. My youngest daughter has been doing karate for the past year, so I thought, what better film to expose her to than Kung Fu Panda? Now, before we get hate mail from our 3 listeners out there telling me that Kung Fu and karate are different forms of martial arts, I'm aware. Kung Fu originated in China, and karate is from Japan. So she's 6. She doesn't know the difference. I've seen this movie so many times.
It's a
So
great movie.
Poe is played perfectly by Jack Black, and he plays a panda who dreams of becoming a legendary kung fu warrior, fighting alongside his idols, the Furious Five. These what is it, like, the anthropomorphic animals played by, was it Lucy Liu, and David Cross is one of them, Angelina Jolie, I think Seth Rogen is one of the, anyways, but it's a tiger, a snake, a monkey, whatever. But through these crazy circumstances, he's put into the position of becoming the dragon warrior and must train with them. And his instructor is Master Shifu, played perfectly by Dustin Hoffman. I think this is Dustin Hoffman's best performance in a movie since Rain Man. And if you really think about what he's been doing for the last 30 years, it's not that big a stretch to say that, because he hasn't really had that many great roles in a long time. But he's really good in this. And I just love this film. Not just the animation style, but the color palette of this film is very lush and warm. The score is from Hans Zimmer, and it's a really great one from him. But I love the message of this film. Poe is seemingly mistaken as the chosen one, being the dragon warrior, and must find a way to live up to expectations. But he not only goes on a physical journey, but a journey of self-discovery, learning that it's not all about the gifts of the body, but also the mind and the heart and the soul. And Kung Fu Panda, it's just a great film, and it's streaming on Max right now and also available on VOD.
Are there
And I
two
think,
Panda sequels or just one? I saw the
yes,
second one.
second one and a third one, and a fourth one is supposed to come out in a couple of years, maybe 2024, I think.
If you had to put
I don't know anything about it. No details have
if you
been
had to put
talked
one
about.
through three in order of, like, if you've seen it
Oh, I think it's diminishing returns,
each
but
time,
I think
yeah.
so. I did like the second one. I don't think I liked the third one. I think that was 2016. The third one.
I remember the second one. I think that was 2011. Because I loved the first one. I saw the second one and
Yeah.
enjoyed it. It wasn't as good, but it was good. I remember.
Yeah, I like the second one a lot. Not as much as the first, but I don't think I like the third one that much.
I've
I
only
like them as
seen
much
one.
as I like them in descending order, like the way the Shrek movies have gone.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I only like number 1 for Kung Fu Panda. I
Yeah.
probably look like Kung Fu Panda when I do martial arts. I'm thinking, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely like Kung Fu Panda. because I'm short and stocky.
So
You
that
can't laugh.
all right, let's move on to our next segment.
Toodity, toodity.
And this is a first for us. We are going to be listing, since we're about basically halfway through 2023. Can you believe we're halfway through the year already? We started this podcast.
It's kind of sad.
We've seen half the movies coming out this year pretty much
We
already. I
have.
don't I don't know. I mean, like we're halfway through June
Yeah.
already, and yeah, and we are going to list off our top 5 of 2023 so far, our mid-year top 5 countdown. And the way we're going to do this, we are going to we're going to go down from 5 to 1, and we're just going to kind of go through each rotate.
Wait,
Each
then
going to do 5.
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, we're just each going to do our number 5, then do our number 4, all the way down to 1. So we may have some overlap, but we're going to just kind of see how it goes, So we haven't predetermined who's going to go first.
Sam.
We can Sam.
So my number
Okay.
my number 5, and I gotta say, because the year's only almost half over, there's a lot of movies I haven't seen this year so far, so it was kind of difficult to create a top 5, just because I don't feel strongly about a lot of them, to be quite honest. They're good, but number 5 for me would probably be the Super Mario Brothers movie. I enjoyed it. I know it played it safe. I think it could have been a lot more daring in its story, and like Nathan, you were talking about that in our review, but it was fun and I enjoyed it, and it would definitely make the top 5 of the first half of the year for sure.
All right.
Oh my.
Ellie,
Ah,
you're next.
I'm trying to say the name. So help here. Boo is afraid.
Bo is afraid.
Bo is afraid. It's number 5 for me because I enjoyed the movie. I love Joaquin. Um, it was all over the place. I feel there was just like, but there were really it was all over the place. But I really loved the movie because there's I imagine there's people like him that suffer from um is it an illness that he had? Thinking.
Debilitating anxiety
Yeah, yeah.
and
Well,
and
depression, right?
depression. Yeah, both of those.
Yeah. Oh, duh. Yeah. So I guess for me, I mean, there were funny parts too, like the one where the guy is like holding on to dear life on the ceiling so as to
Oh,
not to
it's
fall
so
into
great.
the bathtub, and then the spider shows up, and I do not like spiders. I do not. And so that I thought that was funny. It had funny moments. It had very tender moments. It made me angry at times because of the mom, and
hmm
how he was treated. And I didn't like the ending because I always want Joaquin to like be on top of things, and I felt like he just died.
He was never going to get a break.
Yeah, isn't that
No,
sad? He never got a
I don't know,
break.
but it almost felt fitting in some ways
Yeah,
because I don't know it was ever meant to be.
I guess, but I really
Yeah,
loved it. It's a strange
yeah,
movie, but I
yeah,
thought it was well done. So
yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Da-da-da-da. Nathan.
My number 5 is Sisu,
I am
which is from writer director Jalmari Helender. I guess is how you say his name. It's a gloriously over the top action film where Nazis get what's coming, which is always a
I'm
great
not
thing.
hearing.
It stars Jorma Tamila as a Finnish prospector who has struck gold and is carrying his bounty back home when he encounters a brigade of Nazis. As Nazis do, they try to steal his gold, but this ain't no ordinary prospector. He's actually an ex-military, and they soon discover they messed with the wrong prospector. This movie is so ultra violent. It's it's bordering on camp, but it really doesn't go all the way into that. It never goes too far into B movie territory. So I have to describe the essence of it. It's kind of like the vibe of like John McClane in Die Hard meets John Wick. So it's really a very unique film. In fact, one of the producers of John Wick is behind this movie. So
Oh, cool.
it's just good Nazi killing fun. And I think the public needs to get reminded every once in a while that Nazis are bad and it's good to kill them.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I love this film. That is my number 5. Sisu. Sisu.
Sisu?
And you know what's funny? I didn't realize that this movie was in English because the trailers made it seem like this was going to be in a foreign language. And I thought, and
German,
I
I
didn't-
thought. I thought it was
or-
going to be Germany. or
it
something.
is in English. So yeah.
Do you know what "si" means? So "sisu" in Spanish, it means "si," yes, and "su" means yours. So it's yes, yours. Sisu.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to our number 4. Sam, what do you got for number 4?
So my number 4 is Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Really enjoyed everyone's performance. Thought Chris Pine was well cast, and it's not an amazing movie, but it's kind of a breezy, fun. It feels like kind of a 1990s sort of like fantasy adventure film. I enjoyed the movie completely cold. I'd never played Dungeons and Dragons as a kid. I was really not familiar with that world, so the movie was literally my introduction to it. I did not see the movie in 2000 with Jeremy Irons, as many others did not, and were probably better off for it, or so I'm told. But it was fun. It had just enough action and comedy and inventiveness that I found it to be a very pleasantly enjoyable film. Would it make the top 5 for all of 2003? I mean, 2023, once we get to the end of the year, I mean, I'm not sure, but we're only halfway through, but that would be my number 4. Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. I think it's available streaming now, I believe.
It is. Yeah. I am looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. So yeah. Very cool.
Pretty good.
All right.
Air.
Air.
Is that your number 4?
Yes.
Or you just need some right now. Are you crying? Are you crying? You need help?
No. Air.
You mean the movie?
Wait. I liked it. I like the 80s vibe. I like Matt Damon in it. Viola Davis is one of my favorite actors in the world. So she did a great job. And I think there was a sense of there's a part in the movie, I think, when Matt Damon is pitching the reasoning why the family should go with Nike and their product in the conference room, that there was a sense of heart for me when he talks about, how Jordan is going to become one of the best players in the world, and why he's going to become a best player in the world. And I thought that was really touching. And I don't want to give it out because I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, that's
There's a root for the underdog nature to that film. That of core that like every American is like, of course, yeah,
Yeah, I
thing,
think that's what I was looking for. That there's an underdog story there, and who cannot relate to that, right? So, plus, I really like the music too.
All right. Right. I was not a fan as the rest of it as
We
you guys.
know.
I know. It was fine. It was fine. My number 4 movie of the year was Boston Strangler.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, this film stars Keira Knightley, Carrie Coon, Alessandro Nivola, and Chris Cooper. and it's from writer director Matt Ruskin. I already mentioned a few months ago on the podcast how much I love this film, and I'll admit I'm already in the bag for films about investigative journalism, and this one was up my alley. It's about the Boston Strangler murders from the early 1960s and follow the story of Loretta McLaughlin and Gene Cole as they attempt to break the story. Many will say this is Zodiac Light, and I'm not going to argue with that. I agree to a certain extent. It's no Zodiac, but I think it's still a very good film, and the performances from Keira Knightley in the supporting cast, I think, were stellar in this. Stella is my dog, so I scream at her all day long. So Stella,
My first name is Stella.
yeah.
Stella.
So yeah, I think this is great, and it's streaming on Hulu right now. So that's Boston Strangler, and it was shot locally, and I have several friends that you can see in it.
Nice.
All right, Sam, what do you got for number 3?
So my number three was for my number three. I went with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I only just saw it last night. I have always really enjoyed the characters in those movies, the sort of misfit team. Loved the first one. I liked Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 even more. Uh, this film, even though I didn't think it was perfect, I thought it did great like character work with Rocket and his backstory, and so very different, um, a, 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 a more downbeat tone, which I was on board for. I just still unpacking it because I wasn't quite used to that. I knew it was going to be serious, but it had a really different feel. I enjoyed it a lot, and I've only seen it once, so my opinion might be subject to change. For me, I would say that it's one shortcoming, even though not by much, is that I didn't find it as visually spectacular as the first two. I think James Gunn is an amazing visualist that comes up with extraordinary worlds and out there imagery. And I thought Volume 2 really popped. Whereas for me, this one, there was like the alternate Earth that I thought was okay, and the spaceship was good, and the organ clinic place that was like Matt
Orgascope, right?
Orgascope. Yeah, that was
Oh,
that was interesting. The movie just had it, for some reason I just had a more muted effect on me, even though I thought Rocket's backstory was very emotional and really good. But overall, I liked it because I liked where it placed the characters in the end. Like, if that truly is the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and it feels like it, I was content with the character arcs and where they were left off. Interesting movie, not tonally a bit of a mixed bag for me, but good enough that I enjoyed that I liked it because of the characters and what they'd been through before. I liked seeing their last movie together.
hmm. Yeah, I think the more as I sit with the third movie, it's grown on me even more in time. What did you think of the soundtrack, by the way, of this third
I
movie
didn't
versus the
I
other
didn't
ones?
mind the soundtrack. I'd listened to the podcast that you guys did a few weeks ago. I thought the soundtrack wasn't quite as good. That didn't bother me as much as I just wish it had been a bit more like visually spectacular in parts. Although there was a hallway fight that was really incredible, and it's the kind of movie where I enjoyed it, and I could definitely see myself seeing it again. Just very, very different from the other two, and that's not a bad thing.
Hmm. Okay, Ellie, what do you got at number 3?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
No way.
Yeah. So I was debating, but at the end I feel for me Guardians number 1 is always going to be my number 1 movie. It's just the music was great, the whole story was great, it was funny, it was fun. This one I enjoyed it. Um I love the rescuing of the animals and the children in the film.
That
Um
was great. Yeah.
yeah, right. And I didn't enjoy the music because I didn't think there was good music in this film. I love the ending when he's eating cereal because I really want to eat cereal now. I haven't had cereal in forever.
I thought
Oh my.
with the music choices and the tone, it's almost like James Gunn wanted this movie to be a real like outlier to the other two. Like I felt this like seismic tonality shift, even a different cinematography. I was like, this is a totally different vibe. Which is, I'm glad that each movie is distinct. Like I prefer that to just like a carbon copy. But
Yeah.
the soundtrack reflected that, where there was some. It's I didn't dislike the soundtrack. There were some odd choices, like, oh, that's interesting, but it
Yeah,
didn't
that's the
pop
thing.
like, I can't remember the
No.
opening song in part two when like Kurt Russell and his wife are like driving through the cornfields and it's like 1980.
Brandy,
Yeah,
Brandy.
you're just like, yeah, this movie's amazing.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel
That
that
Yeah.
like sugar rush from this third
right.
film. Not that it
I
has to
think
be
It
that was
happy.
something that
Yeah.
I was trying to articulate in
that's
that
it.
episode,
Yes.
is that I didn't feel that bubblegum sugar rush vibe to it. It had a
It's
very dour feel to it. Not a bad thing,
Yeah.
but it was different.
And I don't mind like
And
darkness. It was just kind of the
yeah,
way it told the darkness. I was like, huh,
but
that's
that's
yeah.
that's how I felt. But there was a darker side to this film this time around as
Yeah.
opposed to the
yeah,
first one. And and I like the story of the raccoon and that they spent some time telling us where he came from. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it was yeah, three
yeah.
stars.
I totally agree. It's an interesting movie. Like it's not great, but it was like it was a unique. I was like, I'm glad I saw it basically. So I hear what you guys are saying, and I
Yeah.
1000% agree with you, Nathan. When I watched the movie last night, I remembered you talking about it in your review, and I was like, that's what he meant by the tone, because I was listening to the non-spoiler part before I'd seen the movie, and I could understand your opinion in theory, but I didn't obviously know the details. Now that I saw the movie, I filled in the blank and was like,
Do
that's what he
you
meant. I got it.
do you guys think that somewhere in this Earth planet there's some mad scientist working on making a human into a pig's face?
It's possible. Probably somewhere in definitely in Pawtucket, I would say. But yeah.
We've lost all of our Pawtucket listeners. Thank
I
you.
mean, that's horrible.
Who?
I know
Oh,
it's just a
You mean
movie.
like from? Okay, now I get the context of what you're talking about. I
Do
thought you were just
you?
talking randomly. I was like a pig. I was like,
No.
what? The guy
No.
in
Do you
from
remember in
yeah,
the movie
yes,
when
yeah,
they land into the other Earth?
yes. And then they're throwing the
Wake
ball around and stuff. Yeah,
wake up. Nathan is like
Okay.
good
I'm
times.
I'm gonna move on. My number three film of the year so far is still a Michael J. Fox movie. And
Right.
this is a
Mm.
wonderful documentary from David Guggenheim, which features an in depth conversation interview with Michael as he shares the story about his humble beginnings throughout his breakout success on Family Ties and Back to the Future, and of course the unfathomable diagnosis of Parkinson's at a young age of 29, basically at the peak of his career. He had just come off filming both Back to the Future films when he learned about this disease. It changed everything in his life. This is no ordinary documentary either. It does this very unique thing where it uses archival footage from his movies, TV shows, commercials to articulate the points he's making during these interviews. I've never seen anything like this in a documentary. It needs to be seen to fully comprehend. I can't say enough great things about this film. I found myself practically in tears watching this. It's good. It's what am I trying to say? It's that good, and the story is just really heartbreaking. And he holds nothing back at this stage of his life. You see him now struggling, barely able to walk. He's falling down. It's very difficult to watch, but I think that's what he wanted to show the world at this point. I think everyone should watch this film. It's very humbling to see this. It's currently streaming on Apple TV Plus right now. Highly recommend this.
Wow.
Check it out.
I've been meaning to watch actually that documentary since the last time you said it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So we are up to our number 2 picks. Sam, what do you got at number 2?
For me, my number 2 was Air. Definitely, Air was way up there for me. I enjoyed just Matt Damon's, Ben Affleck's performance. Everyone, it was great to see Chris Tucker. Jason Bateman was amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
he
I
was.
just the whole tonality of the movie and just the nature of it and how kind of organic and realistic it felt. I just enjoyed it a lot. Um, there was a breezy, just sort of upbeat tone to it. But I just thought, I know what you mean about Nathan. When I saw it the second time, you had mentioned in your review about how it's like stuffed with '80s pop songs, and that's true. It definitely is. But it just that manipulation works so well on me that I just love it. Like I enjoyed it. I also saw it with an audience in the theater where like the whole crowd was like really into it. Like everyone was laughing and clapping. Like I find it to be a really entertaining movie. So that would definitely be my number 2 for sure.
Okay.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, na 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 na, Spider-Man across the universe. That's my number 2.
All right.
I
Um,
really loved it. The more I think about it after I've watched it, is because I really loved the number 1, but then I wasn't so sure about number 2. But then it kind of grew on me more to the point that I actually want to go back and see it again. But yeah, there isn't anything that I did not like about this film. The color, the animation, the music, the references to our Latino food, especially platanos, the emotional part between mom and son, because I have a son, and then just that son trying to save his dad, and um, I even love the cliffhanger, even though I don't like cliffhangers. But yeah, so that's my number 2.
excellent. All right. My number 2 of the year so far is Beau is Afraid from writer director Ari Aster. We already talked about this earlier. I think, Ellie, it was your number 5.
It was.
Again, so this is again, the story of a man who is suffering from this debilitating anxiety and must leave his apartment when he learns his mom has passed away. Yeah, I think we watched this about a month and a half ago, and I still can't get this film out of my head. I'm still waiting for this to come to streaming. It's not available
I
yet.
gotta see it. I can't wait to see it. I haven't seen it yet.
No,
Um,
yeah,
I'm,
I'm gonna
I'm,
see it again. Actually,
yeah, I've been still just dissecting this in my brain ever since we watched it back then. I love the attention to detail in this, the world building. Joaquin Phoenix, it's still the performance of the year for me.
yeah.
When I think about this, how Ari Aster was able to bring this together in a coherent way, I think was remarkable. It's a fascinating meditation on depression, anxiety, and paranoia. When I'm asked if I recommend this film, I actually have to quantify it because this movie is not for everyone. I can see why many people would dislike this, but
Mhm.
if you enjoy watching a man being mentally tortured for 3 hours, then this is the movie for you. You'll love it. But I really
You said
do
that.
adore this film, and I cannot wait to watch it again. Uh, with some people that might like this, because I think I want to share this movie with people and see what they think about it, because this is needs to be discussed more and more. This film, it's a fascinating film.
It is.
So Beau is Afraid is my number 2. All right, so we are up to our number 1 films of at the halfway point of the year. It will be interesting to see what makes our end of the year list of these movies. It will be interesting because we haven't gotten into like the second half of the summer or the prestige movies
Yeah,
of
Oh,
the end of the year too. We'll have to
and
wait
they
and
are
see.
coming. They are coming. Let me tell
Yeah,
you.
the autumn
yeah,
films. The
They
number
are coming.
Yeah. So let's see, Sam. What do you got for your number one? We'll do the drum roll.
So my number one this year, and granted, there are some films I missed. I haven't seen Scream 6. Really want to, but my number one would be John Wick Chapter 4 for sure. Just because action masterpiece, visually spectacular, amazing set pieces, highly entertaining. Possible climax to the John Wick films, although I'm not so sure. There may be a fifth, we'll see, but I enjoyed it a lot, and just basically the choreography, the cinematography, the elaborate fight sequences. I thought it was one of the best of the four John Wicks. It's hard for me to rate all four of them because I like part three a lot, but that would be my number one for the first half of 2023, like hands down, without thinking about it. I was just like, yep.
Okay, great. Ellie.
Well, let me just say, for me, is the mother. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, John Wick
I was about
4.
to say not get the cabin.
No, I was gonna say no. I
Two
was gonna
meals
say
for
that.
Sister Sarah. Sorry.
No, oh my God, John Wick, hands down, no doubt. Didn't even think about it. I already knew what my number one movie was from the get
Yes.
go. So when Sam said his number one is John Wick, I was like, yay! For all the reasons Sam mentioned, and obviously because Keanu is one of my favorite men in the world, after my son, of course. But then and my dad and my brother. Okay, yeah. Anyhow, so so yeah, it's just for everything that Sam said, it was an entertaining film. Because of this film, I uh planning on taking martial arts classes
Oh wow.
because I just want to
Wow.
fight. I just want to fight. I just want to yeah. So yeah, I'm signing up for martial art classes. And I loved every bit of it. I loved the emotional part at the end of the movie with Keanu, but I just want more. Just one more, you know? Just want more. And the action scenes were amazing. The funny parts, especially with that dude with the purple outfit. I don't know his name. He was funny.
There
I
might
can't
be
even
one more.
believe
You
that
never know. There could be another. We'll
I
see.
can't even believe that that person was what do you call that stuff that they put on him?
Oh, he was in
The
the
Prosthetics.
fat suit, the prosthetics.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I didn't even know. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that's my number one film.
Thinking of Scott Atkins.
That's right.
The
Yes. What a great
yeah,
job.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. So my number one movie of the year so far is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is simply the best superhero movie I have ever seen.
Yeah.
I thought the first one was incredible. This second one ups the ante and expands the universe in every dimension possible. No pun intended. Or maybe that pun is intended. I don't know. But as I mentioned last week, what I felt gave this film its heart was how grounded it was able to be at its core. The struggles that Miles
Mhm.
Morales is going through, his identity crisis as Spider-Man, his relationship with his parents,
Mhm.
I felt were very authentic and relatable. The Gwen Stacy character, I thought steals the scenes that she's in and her complicated relationship with her dad. The performances from the supporting cast with Oscar Isaac, Daniel Kaluuya, Jake Johnson, Rio Morales, Brian Tyree Henry were fantastic. How the creators of this film managed to assemble the story and layer in dozens and dozens of animation styles seamlessly is befuddling to me.
Yeah.
Geniuses. These people are geniuses. I don't feel worthy to breathe the same air that they do. They clearly have made a deal with the devil or some other highly intelligent alien life form. I don't know because it's not just one thing that they're doing. It's dozens of animation styles brilliantly all meshed together in perfect harmony. It's just mind blowing how this movie all comes together. The story is beautiful. It's
Mhm.
tragic. I cannot wait for March of 2024. I don't know if I've gushed over this movie enough over the last 2 weeks, but I think this film is one of the I know it only came out like within the last 2 weeks, but it's possibly one of the greatest movies ever made.
Wow.
That's how good this movie is.
Damn. I gotta.
Wait, have
and
you
it's-
seen it,
I know
Sam?
No, I haven't seen either of them.
Oh,
Yeah. I
yeah.
gotta see
See,
that. Yeah.
And I know there's a glaring movie that's not on my list that you two have put at number one, and it pains me. I thought John Wick 4 would easily be in my list, but the fact that Spider-Man 4 kind of knocked it off, because it would have been my number 5 or so. It was hard not to, but Spider-Man 4 is by far the one of the best things I've seen in 10 years. Just the how this movie was created on a technical level is
it's
mind
beautiful.
blowing.
Wow.
It is beautiful.
It's just mind blowing. This film.
Yeah.
So that is my number one film thus far. So yeah, there we go with our mid-year top 5 countdown. And that was fun. I'm glad we had a little bit of overlap, but we got a variety of films in here.
Yeah, I feel like our top 5 movies between the three of us had this, we all had almost the same picks in our top 5.
There's plenty of crossover here.
Yeah.
And you reminded me that I definitely need to get to Dungeons and Dragons at
Oh,
some
yeah, I
point.
had to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You too.
All right. So let's get to the last segment. We are not doing a recommendation shelf segment this week, but we are going to just mention briefly what is coming up in the next week for releases. Let me just pull that up here. So coming up out in wide release this weekend is Elemental, the latest from Pixar Animation and director Peter Sohn. Sohn's previous feature was Pixar's 2015 The Good Dinosaur, not thought of as premium Pixar, but Elemental is about a city where fire, water, land, and air residents live together. They're a fiery young woman and a go with the flow guy discovers something elemental. How
Is
much
this the water movie?
it's all everybody the water movie?
Yeah, the one. Forgot it.
How well do you think Elemental will do at the box office? Out of curiosity.
Well, I could tell you because I checked out the early
Elemental.
projections.
Interesting. What'd they say?
You did?
Yeah, but I want to hear what you think, Ellie.
Wait, hold on.
We got to think because I already know what they're projecting.
Okay, let me see. Elemental. Because I forget. Is that the one with the water thing?
I would say towards
Water, fire,
Yes,
and
the
then
elements.
earth.
All the elements, right?
Elemental elements. Yeah.
50,
Okay,
50 million, maybe 50.
The early projections are about 40 million opening weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's interesting because the voice cast is a relatively unknown cast as well. They did not. They're not. There isn't a known cast that's kind of like behind this, the marketing of this film, which I don't have a problem with at all, because I think that a lot of these animated movies rely too much on known voice talent. And I think that's kind of a waste. A lot of times I like the fact that they're not doing that, but it's interesting that they're not.
Except I never know who's behind the voices in animated films.
So it's fine. But this movie stars Leah Lewis, Muhammadu Athi, Ronnie Del Carmen, Catherine O'Hara, I think is the one big name in this, Mason Worthamir, and Sheila Ami. Those are the main cast in this film. So I don't know. I will probably end up taking my kids to this at some point, or we'll see. I'm not in any big rush to see this. I think they're trying to ride the coattails of like movies like Inside Out. It feels kind of like that kind of vibe to it, which I thought was a fantastic Pixar movie. But I don't know if this is going to have that kind of success. I don't think it is.
No.
It doesn't seem hugely marketed. Like, it seems not like it's going to just be like a little hello. You know,
Yeah, but Pixar has, COVID really hurt Pixar. Their marketing strategy during COVID was to put things directly on Disney Plus, and
yeah.
it devalued the product.
But what was that other film? The
Mm.
other wasn't it? Was it Pixar? It was a Disney film that came out last fall that was like did not do well.
Strange World.
Strange World.
Strange
Yeah, that was
World
like yeah,
bombed.
that did bomb.
And it was a very strange movie. Odd. You know what's funny about Strange World? It had there's a lot of comparisons to Strange World and Ant-Man Quantumania.
Interesting.
If you watch that movie, a lot of the um the kind of the vibe of that movie, the it's very similar in tone, very similar in the story that it's telling. You'd have to watch both of them together, but there's a lot of similarities.
You talk about like some films that stick with you and some that don't. Ant-Man
Yeah.
Quantumania has completely left my mind. When you mentioned it, I was like, "Oh, I
Remember
remember
that
that."
that
Yeah,
that movie that came out
yeah.
like only 3 months
And,
ago?
and but that wasn't even in consideration on the top five. I was like, "No,
No, no,
yeah,
no. So, also out in wide release is the latest installment in the DCU, and director Andres Muschietti, The Flash, comes out into theaters this weekend. Worlds collide when the Flash uses his superpowers to travel back in time to change the events of the past. However, when his attempts to save his family inadvertently alters the future, he becomes trapped in a reality where General Zod has returned, threatening annihilation. With no other superheroes to turn to, the Flash looks to coax a very different Batman out of retirement and rescue an imprisoned Kryptonian, albeit not the one he's looking for. The Flash stars Ezra Miller, Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, Sasha Calle, Kiersey Clemens, and Michael Shannon. Think we're all looking forward to that. And I believe it's going to be the film that we are going to be reviewing next week, next episode. Right now, the early projections are a little lower than I think Warner Brothers is hoping for. It's between 70 and 75 million. I think that was much lower
That's
than they hoped.
wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
They were hoping for like Guardian of the Galaxy numbers in the 115, 120 range, but it's looking a lot lower according to the projections.
Why is
So,
that?
yeah.
I don't know why, but it just is.
Mm.
And it also could be from the competition coming out that weekend. Who
Yeah.
knows? And finally, the other wide release coming out this upcoming week is from Tim Story, from director Tim Story and writers Tracy Oliver and Dwayne Perkins. It's the horror comedy The Blackening, starring Grace Byers, Jermaine Fowler, Melvin Gregg, Ex Mayo, and Dwayne Perkins. 7 friends go away for the weekend, only to find themselves trapped in a cabin with a killer who has a vendetta. They must pit their street smarts and knowledge of horror movies against the murderer to stay alive. And that is The Blackening. This actually, I'm not going to see this in the theater, but I am kind of intrigued by this because I love movies that have like a meta commentary on horror films, like Cabin in the Woods, and this seems like it's kind of tapping into that. It looks like it's that send up of the trope where uh, the black person is always the first one to die, but what if they're all black? Is what is the pitch in this movie? So it is a horror comedy. So I do kind of want to check this out. I will watch this at some point.
There is a movie. Do you remember the actor that did the? He was Jesus. What's his name? He's Caviezel.
Jim
Caviezel.
Caviezel. Yeah,
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to say Jim Caviezel.
he has a new movie, but only in selected theaters. I forget the name of it. I really want to go see it. He said that it's one of the best films he's ever done as an actor, and it's about human trafficking, I believe. So
It's coming out this weekend.
I think it's already playing. I can't
Oh,
think of the name. Um, but I definitely wanna probably gonna end up seeing that. It looks really great, and it's only selected theaters that are going to be presenting it, but I can't think of the name right now. Um,
okay.
yeah.
Well, I think that about covers it. Any last words?
Sound of Freedom. That's the name of the movie.
Sound of Freedom.
Hmm.
Okay.
And your last words will forever hold your peace.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is
There
our
you
show,
have it.
everyone. Thank you for tuning in to
Doo-doo.
our this week's episode, whether you're listening to us on podcast feed or watching us
Oh gosh,
in some way. Yes.
I I totally forgot. This is gonna go on
Did you
action.
forget?
I
Look,
forgot.
we'll do the picture. There we go.
Wait. Did you
Done.
do? We should do a
I did
funny
it.
one.
Too late. Back to the Frame Rate is part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. You can email us directly at backtotheframerate@gmail.com. You got that, Ellie? Good. Hit us up on Facebook and Instagram at Back to the Frame Rate and on Twitter at Back Frame Rate.
Western Media Podcast Network.
We're not drinking anything except for water, people.
We're just high in life here.
Water.
Yay!
You can find past episodes of this show and other podcasts from the Weston Media Podcast Network on our website, and I'll drop the link to that in the show notes. So, that is it. The show is over. Goodbye.
Hasta la vista, baby.